What's up, guys? I pray that you're all doing well. My name is JoKa, and today I'm going to be talking about why I still have hope for season 3 of Tekken 8. Now, I need to mention from the start that this is not a season 3 wishlist video. I've spoken about a lot of the problems which I feel like are really problematic and are affecting the game's balance and whatnot. Of course, I will mention my wish list, which I'll just copy from the other videos where I'm talking about like some of the problems with Tekken 8 and whatnot, and some of the podcasts I did and some of the videos I made in general. But I'll just be talking about some of the reasons as to why I still have hope, and I'll be going into a lot of detail into some of these reasons. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe because it really does support the channel. Let's go. Now, I'm going to try and start off in chronological order. Now, of course, Tekken 8 was released almost 2 years ago, and we didn't get no arcade phase. I feel like just from launch of the game, we've seen a lot of changes, systematic changes, move changes, and whatnot. And I think something that's really important to mention is how many changes that have actually been made in this time span of 2 years. I do want to mention that I feel like at the end of season 1, we are off to such a good start. I feel like the direction was amazing. Like, honestly, I think everyone was happy with the direction. Although there were small changes and just updates, like small updates from time to time, I feel like they made a big impact, I feel like season 2, when it dropped, kind of just changed the trajectory of that good direction that we were heading to. I don't know what they were thinking with adding so many new moves, with adding so many different changes and properties to certain moves. I feel like season 2, I mean, I don't need to mention it, kind of ruined a lot of things and ruined Tekken 8 by quite a lot. And I feel like it's always going to have that stain and that smell when people mention Tekken 8. People would probably say, season 2 was potentially the worst fighting game patch of all time. Now, that's one of the main reasons as to why I have hope. Season 1 was off to a good start. There was no arcade phase, so I did expect it to be worse, but I don't think it was as bad as I thought it would be. I'm not gonna lie. I remember speaking to pros when at the end of Tekken 7, and we were just like, there's probably gonna be no arcade phase. It's gonna be like a network test and like a beta, so it's gonna be pretty rough. But honestly, all things considered, it could have been worse, and it kind of did get worse in season 2, of course. But yeah, I think that's like the first reason that I want to talk about. Is season 1 was off to a great start. We didn't really get no arcade phase. It could have been worse. And then they decided to make a lot of changes. Now, the second reason we're going to talk about is the changes that they've made. Now, they've made so many changes, guys. And I think I haven't even been able to list all of these changes that they've made since launch. Again, although they have taken their time, although some of these changes have, they should have been immediately released for the players to try out themselves and just like play. I mean, I'm just gonna go over some of the changes that they've made. Heat burst tracking. Now, heat burst tracking in season 1 was insane. It used to track both ways. Heat burst used to also kill, which was absolutely insane as well. Yeah, and I think the heat burst on block situation was also different. There was pushback. I honestly preferred that. I'm not sure what they're going to do in season 3 with the heat burst, but I think heat burst is super important, as everyone knows. I hope heat burst don't bound. I think that's important. Next point I want to talk about, heat dashes at the wall used to be plus 17. Now, that is also a very big change that they made. I think people don't talk about heat dashes enough, and I think that was super obnoxious. Moving on, heat engages. Heat engages used to be super plus. There's a video somewhere where I was just like, you know, why are they so plus in season 1? But unfortunately in season 2 they did add the full crash mix, which is something I don't agree with because it really benefits some characters over the others. But yeah, I think full crash mix is not it, in my opinion, when it comes to heat engages. Of course, we don't need to really talk about or dive into chip damage. I mean, chip damage in season 1 was fucking insane, let's be honest. And, you know, I was a victim of some of that chip damage pressure when I played in EU Cup finals versus Nino. Insane, chip damage was insane. I still feel like it could be adjusted in season 2 because some characters do a lot of chip damage, but I think it's better than it was in season 1. Now, there were also moves in season 1 where you couldn't like back roll. Now, there's some moves now in season 2 that automatically lets you back roll. I think that's a good change as well, and it's a change that people don't talk about enough. I think it's good to stop like the looping offense and the looping mix-up situation. So I think that's a really good change. Pretty underrated change in my opinion. Next thing I want to talk about, man, Power Crush heat engages. Guys, Power Crush heat engages were a thing. Victor's Power Crush was insane. Nina's Power Crush, Azicina's Power Crush, like, I just can't believe that was a thing, you know. And I feel like when I look back at season 1, I'm just like, I mean, there were some fucked up things. I mean, there's fucked up things in season 2 as well, but it's not as bad, you know. It's not as bad. We're getting better, slowly but surely, right? It's a step in the right direction, like I say to the people in my stream and in my Discord as well. Another change that they've made, which is really good, I think, is stage gimmick scaling. I feel like stage gimmicks used to do a shit ton of damage in season 1, like a lot of damage, but that's been adjusted, which is really good. Maybe it could be adjusted slightly more, maybe. I feel like when it comes to stage gimmicks, I think heat smashes shouldn't trigger stage gimmicks. I feel like it's really jarring, you know, having to guess between, you know, like Claudio's low heat smash and back one and stuff is really jarring. The next change is, I feel like there's more heat regain for characters in season 2. Now, I have no idea why they decided that some characters should gain or regain heat more in season 2. Characters like Law, King, Lars. Again, not a change I agree with at all. Yeah, insane. I feel like no character should regain heat in any way or shape or form. Right, guys? Next change. There used to be 3 strong aerial tailspins in a combo. I remember doing combos with Feng and just doing upward 3 into upward 3 into upward 3. Now, I think that was a really important change, and I think that really helped with the combo side of things. But I still feel like combos in season 2 are way too long, man. I swear, way too long. I feel like when I get launched or when I'm launching someone, when I'm playing online at home, I literally turn and look at this monitor. It's because I know how long combos last, and it's going to take a long time, especially if there's also stage gimmicks and whatnot. So I feel like combos should be shortened. There shouldn't be as many strong tailspins in a combo. I mean, I'm just stating the obvious here, but I think it's really important to mention, you know. I think a good change from season 2 to season 1 was being able to sidestep into the foreground. Now, I know they mentioned the defensive side of things, the defensive patch and whatnot, but maybe they were talking about this, you know. I feel like this is a really important change. It gives you the option to like think more when you're playing in a certain situation. You know, do you want to sidestep? Do you want to react with a button? Do you want to heat burst, power crush, rage art, etc.? I think being able to sidestep in the foreground has changed a lot of things, and I think it is a great change, honestly speaking. Like, I feel like this change is something that people don't talk about enough. Yeah, a really good change. Next change. Now, this change is really messed up in my opinion, is being able to heat burst from stance. And also, like, some characters having their low heat smashes being enhanced moves in heat in season 2. Like, Reyna's low heat smash, Zafina's. Now, I don't agree with this at all. I think this was a terrible change. I just don't get why like some characters can heat burst from stands, whereas others can't, you know. So I think this should definitely get changed in my opinion. The other change that they made was characters realigning in combo starters and launchers. I think this is okay, but again, it kind of takes away from like the creativity and, you know, having the skill to adjust your combos accordingly and appropriately in a situation, like off-axis combos and whatnot. But again, I guess this change was made to try and help and make it easier for the newer players. And the last point I've mentioned is heat dash combos having more scaling. Now again, I think this was a really important change. I feel like combos did way too much damage in Season 1. I mean, they still do a ton of damage in Season 2. But again, I feel like a lot of these changes I just mentioned are great changes. But of course, there could be more changes. I'm probably missing a shit ton of points that I haven't spoken about. But again, I feel like these changes that I mentioned were some of the more important ones. And they were the main changes that came to mind when I thought about the changes from Season 1 to Season 2. And again, I feel like a lot of these changes are good. And it's why I'm still hopeful, you know. Again, it did take quite some time for these changes to come out. But I feel like it's a good start, you know. I know we're 2 years into the game and I'm saying it's a good start. But I am pretty hopeful for Season 3. I really do hope they're cooking when it comes to not just the balance side of things, when it comes to also the systematic side of things, you know. Or the system mechanics, I should say. Yeah. I think the next reason I want to talk about is pretty obvious, and I think everyone's going to guess this one, is the DLC characters. I feel like the DLC characters are not as obnoxious as the other DLC characters. Now, when I mention the DLC characters being not as obnoxious, I still do think some of them are annoying. Like Fakram, for instance, is pretty annoying. Army King is annoying. And, you know, Miyarizu is annoying. But I feel like there's counterplay to these characters, you know. They have weaknesses. As opposed to Lydia, for instance, or Anna Williams, and some of these other characters, you know. I feel like it's insane. It's insane. I feel like them releasing these characters with like weaknesses and counterplay also gives me hope as well. I know there's a lot of hopium and copium in this video, but I think this is just the way I see things, and it's just the perspective I like to keep. I think it's important to be positive, you know. Again, it could have been a lot worse. Like the changes I mentioned before in my second reason, I feel like a lot of the changes were great with the heat burst and heat dashes and whatnot, and heat engager plus frames. But yeah, I'm just hoping, and I'm sure everyone else just hopes, that the game improves for the better. I'm sure everyone wants that. No one wants the game to be even worse than it was in Season 2, right? And I just feel like the logical thing, right, I might jinx everybody by saying this, but I feel like, can it get worse than Season 2? The release of Season 2 when it comes to balance and stuff? I guess we'll find out very soon. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Are you guys hopeful? Are you guys not bothered anymore? Have you guys like dropped the game? Let me know. I am interested to hear your opinions. But again, this is what I think about Season 3 and my thoughts in general. I'm actually pretty optimistic. I really can't wait for Tekken World Tour Finals, which is in like, I think 8-9 days, maybe 10 days even. So hopefully we do get some Season 3 information then. I'm sure we will. But yeah, guys, that's all from me. Take it easy. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.